cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make.
Yo, I got a lot of shit to say, so I'ma do this every day. I'll be writing things until I'm fucking buried in my grave. 6 feet deep under, but my body won't decay, cause my messages are timeless, so they'll put them on display. Oh yeah, I rap with a certainty, I have a sense of urgency, a message for eternity, for everyone internally. I had some people burning me, but now they fucking learn to see I ain't the one to fuck with. Now they looking nervously, and I don't really care what you think of me, respectfully. You can kick rocks.
Alright, so Creed 3, already been out a week. Have you seen it? Do you plan on seeing it this week? Do you plan on seeing it at all? Or are you just going to wait till it comes out? Like, let me know what you plan on doing with this. So, we already covered the first Creed movie. Instant classic. I love it. It's one of my favorite movies. Still love it to this day. Nothing changed after rewatching it. Creed 2. Do I like Creed 2 as much as Creed 1? No. But do I like it more than the first time I've seen it? 100%. I 100% like this a lot more than the first time I watched it. I don't know if it's because me reviewing it, I went into it with different kind of eyes and I was more focused on different things. But I did enjoy it this time a lot more than I did the first time I watched it, which I feel like that can be with anything. You give it a couple years, you might have liked it or hated it the one time you watched it. Then going a couple years later, rewatching again, your opinion might change. It might stay the same, but definitely I can say my opinion changed on this movie, and the grade for it definitely went up compared to what I would have given it if I reviewed it the first time I watched it. So, before I get in the rundown of what the plot of this movie is, the summary of it, let's introduce some of the newer cast who are in here. Obviously, Dolph Lundgren playing Ivan Drago. I'm not even going to try and pronounce it because I'm going to butcher the hell out of it. Is playing Victor Drago. I'm sorry. I just know I'm going to screw it up. Russell Hornsby playing Buddy Marcel. And then somebody also coming back is Rocky's son, Milo. Not gonna bother saying it because I cannot pronounce names. Oh, I butcher names so bad. Coming back as Robert Balboa. And then also Bridget Nielsen, who isn't really in this movie very much. I think she's like in 2 scenes, but I mean, she's also in this movie as Victor's mom. Different change in the director chair. We got Stephen Caple Jr. directing this one, and the screenwriters for this one is Sly and then Joel Taylor. So Ryan Coogler is an executive producer, but he is not writing this one or directing it at all. So it's a little weird not having him in the director's chair, not having him write, basically only taking on a producer role. I don't know if that's because he was working on Black Panther or something like that, because I believe they were coming out about the same time. I cannot be 100% sure. So maybe that's why I don't enjoy this one as much, because it's not directed and written by Ryan Coogler, but it does feel different compared to the first one. That is a for sure thing. So basically just going to read this off of Rotten Tomatoes because I can't sum it up in the right way. In 1985, Russian boxer Ivan Drago killed former U.S. champion Apollo Creed in a tragic match that stunned the world. Against the wishes of trainer Rocky Balboa, Creed's son, Adonis, accepts a challenge from Drago's son, another dangerous fighter. Under guidance from Rocky, Donnie trains for the showdown of his life, a date with destiny that soon becomes his obsession. Now, Johnson and Balboa must confront their shared legacy as the past comes back to haunt them each. Basically, I could have summed that up a little bit better. Basically, Drago wants revenge for him basically getting shunned from Russia. Wants to take on Creed. Creed wants revenge for Drago killing his dad. Rocky doesn't want to go through it because he knows exactly what's going to happen. And obviously, Donnie ain't listening and goes through the fight. Gets his butt kicked the first time. Second time goes more of his way. He ends up having a kid in this one who she ends up becoming deaf, which, that's something they also got to deal with. So there's a lot on Donnie with that. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed this a hell of a lot more than I did the first time I watched. There is so much in this that I liked, and there's even some things I liked even more than I did in the first one. So obviously, Rotten Tomatoes, they gave this an 83, so it actually gave it a better score than what the audience said. Audience only gave it about an 80. I'm basically kind of in the same camp because I'm giving it a B minus. Some of the pros in this is, well, one of the pros that's actually a pro and a con is it feels like a Rocky and Creed story. Like, it doesn't feel like it's 100% Creed story. It feels like it's mixed in there with Rocky just as much as Creed, which it is a good thing, but it's also a bad thing because it's not Creed's own story. It feels like it's just branching off of Rocky's story, and it's more-ish his than it is of anything else. Like, obviously Creed has stakes, but Creed's not facing Drago, he's facing his son, which is totally different. Drago's kid had nothing to do with it. This is basically between Rocky and Drago, really, and they're just putting their young apprentices, their kids, against each other to settle the score. But then at the same time, it goes so well because it's a continued story from a past, like, obviously Creed has issues because his dad died because of a Drago, so he wants to get some kind of vengeance, get some revenge back after what happened. So it's good and bad. It's got its pros and its cons there. I just had to put it as both a pro and a con, mainly just because of it just being not a one person story. It's two different stories, which is good and bad. The Dragos, to me, don't get me wrong, I like Pretty Ricky Conlon. He was a great part, a great foe for Creed, but he wasn't a villain to me. He was just a guy who Creed is going to fight against. He has no stakes really against, other than towards the end when he starts talking crap to Donnie. But other than that, there's nothing. Like, I didn't feel like, damn, I hope Creed kicks his ass. Like, I don't like this guy at all. Like, there's nothing. But in this one, against the Dragos, at least they've got, like, a great motivation here. Like, we followed them a little more than I feel like we followed Ricky Conlon in the last movie. Their motivation is basically they're fighting so they can get back to being respected as in their own country. After Drago lost, he got kicked out of his country, lost his wife. He was basically all alone with his kid raising him, and now they're trying to put the Drago name back in good graces. They don't want to be ashamed anymore, and I just love their motivation. They're not fighting because they're evil and they hate everybody. Obviously Drago just wants to be back in Russia. He wants to get the respect that he had when he was first training. Obviously his son wants to be, wants to give his dad that, he wants to see his mom again, he wants to be a family. Like, they have their reasons for fighting. They're not fighting for no reason. They have the reasons, and this is pushing them to continue to keep fighting. So I love that. I love that. I almost don't want them to lose, but at the same time, I still want Donnie to win. There's no, I could go either way almost, like, you don't want either one to lose, but then at the same time, Donnie's got to win because he's got to avenge his dad. And, obviously the Dragos are supposed to be the bad guys. So it's hard to go in there. I felt more sympathetic towards this villain than anything. So I love that for sure with this movie. Creed's struggle. I actually was digging the scenes, like how hard it was for him to get back into it, because it's something that anybody can deal with. It's not even getting your ass kicked in a boxing match. Just the daily struggles, like one thing goes wrong, then another thing, and then another thing, and then it's impossible to get yourself out of that hole that you're already in. And it's just a pain, it's a struggle to get yourself out of that funk. And no matter what you can do, it feels like a mountain, you're climbing on a mountain all day long trying to get back to where you got to be. And so seeing that, I just love the struggle that he's going through. Obviously it puts a strain on his family and everything like that. It's putting a strain on his mentalness. Him being champ, he's still got to fight, but he doesn't want to because he can't bring himself to go fight. So I just love the struggle that he had to go through to try and get himself back for this fight, get him back motivated and everything like that. I had to go back to Rocky and have Rocky tell him, like, yeah, I knew he was going to kick your ass basically the second that, you accepted that fight, So I love that. I love how he had to go through this whole thing. Like, he had to get his ass kicked to humble himself and realize, like, look, it ain't all going to be this easy. I'm going to have to train my ass off, keep my mind focused, my body in shape. Like, I got to do all this, So I did love that a whole lot. And then also, yeah, the last fight. It didn't seem like which I'll get to this in the last one, but it didn't seem like there was many fights in this one. So the last fight was probably the best part out of all the boxing scenes. Like, the punches feel like it is ridiculous. It's not as grounded as maybe the first one was because of the size difference and everything. And these guys are throwing like Super Saiyan haymakers at each other. But the last fight, man, it just, the punches, you feel them. It just like boom, 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 boom. It's almost like the last one. The punches, and that might be just because of how well choreography has gone, and so you can make the punches look almost as hard-hitting as possible without actually, beating the crap out of your actors. So yeah, the last fight, I gotta give it its props. Basically the same thing I said for the last one. The first movie's last fight is basically the same in this one, it's bone-crushing, you feel it, you're like, ooh, it's just a lot of it. And then, like, the struggle of Drago having to throw the towel in for his kid because he doesn't want his kid to die, The struggle of him, and then, Victor being all pissed off that his dad did that. It's just, like, you feel their emotional pain. Like, they failed Russia, They failed their home country, and now they have no way of being accepted, they feel like, They feel like they failed completely, his mom and wife end up getting up and leaving as the fight's still going. So there's just so much going on there without them saying anything. You could feel the pain in Victor. And I guess there was a deleted scene, which I didn't know about this until I watched the video the other day. That was talking about the Rocky series and about this movie, and how there was a deleted scene where Donnie went into Victor's dressing room and told, they had to talk to hash everything out, That would have been cool to see that. I would have enjoyed seeing that scene. I think that would have been great to have it in this movie, and I feel like that would have maybe even elevated even a little bit more, too. So, it's a shame we don't get that, but the fact that it's out there, it's kind of a plus, too. So, cons. Got to get into the cons here. So, it seemed very slow-paced at times. I know that seemed very slow to say. But, sorry, hold on. Before we go any further, I still got to give credit to Michael B. Jordan's acting. He still carries this movie, and you can feel the emotional weight that he is carrying and the pain that he is suffering emotionally and mentally. Like, I got to give Michael B. his props. I know I didn't put him as a pro on here, but it was already a dead giveaway that he was going to be the best part in this movie. And, I'm going to give him his props because he does such a great job, It's almost like, it's going to be a pro, so I don't even need to put it down as a pro. You just know he's going to be the best part. So back to the cons. It seemed very slow-paced. It just seemed like it wasn't moving fast enough. Like, 2 hours, I think it is, 2 hours plus the movie is. It just, you feel the 2 hours to me. Like, it felt like it dragged on, and there were times where I was kind of like not into it, the scene or anything like that. I was kind of like, okay, this is all right. I mean, I get what they were doing. I get what they were trying to establish and stuff, but without it being broken up with any fights, it didn't seem like there was many fights going on. And I don't know, it just seems so slow paced. And like, it just kind of lost me at sections, you know. There were just times where I was like, I just can't go on anymore with this. Like, this is kind of a struggle to get through this section. Like, it's nothing terrible. It wasn't anything super bad, but it was obviously some stuff that just, some scenes that just made it hard because it was just so slow and it was just moving so slow. It seemed like the first half was very slow moving, and then once we got to basically that first fight, maybe it picked up a little bit, slowed down a little, and then picked back up again. So there was just some slow paced times, and I didn't care for that. I wasn't expecting that in this. Maybe that's why I was expecting it to be fast paced. So maybe that could be it. I don't really know. And then this one's not a huge con, but I just did put it down because I noticed it. It didn't seem like there was as many fights. Now, I could be 100% wrong. And, I mean, it's very possible that there was about the same amount of fights in this one as there was in the first one. But it just seemed like there wasn't. And I don't know if it's because those slow scenes that there are, that the slower paced scenes that they have, or sections of the movie just were so slow that it made it seem like the last time we saw a fight scene wasn't that long ago, or there wasn't a long enough fight scene for them to go on. So I don't know if that's what it was, but it just seemed like there wasn't as many fights in this one. And it kind of took me out of it a little. Like, I'm here for a Creed movie, not only for the emotional part of it too, but I'm also here for the boxing. You know, I want to see some boxing scenes. Like, you come into a Rocky Creed movie, you're expecting boxing scenes. So the fact that we didn't get a lot of that definitely made it a little more difficult to get through. So it just, I don't know. It seemed like we were missing some there. I mean, the fight scenes we do get, they are good. So I'm not complaining about those, but I just wish we got a little bit more in here. And then the last con I have, I didn't write it down, obviously, but I feel like Bianca was not used much in this. Like, I feel like they just didn't use her very much. I really thought Tessa Thompson, like, I don't know, maybe it was just me, but it feels like she was not really in this movie very much. And I don't know if that's because she was doing something else, or maybe, you know, the scenes that she was in were just shorter scenes. Like, you know, there's the scene in the beginning after the first fight where, you know, Donnie proposes to her and stuff, but it just seemed like there wasn't much of her in this movie, and I don't know, like, I kind of didn't like that they kind of put her as a side character in this one to the point where she wasn't hardly in the movie. So I mean, that could have been me, but it just felt like I didn't feel like she was in this movie very much. You know, it felt like it was more Rocky and Creed that were in this movie than anything, and she was hardly in this movie. So I mean, I know it's a Rocky and Creed movie, but I did like, you know, Tessa Thompson in the first movie, and I thought she did a great job, and her chemistry with Michael B worked well. And then obviously, you know, their chemistry is still good in this one, but I just wanted more of her in this one. So maybe in the third one we can get more of her, but I don't know at the time of recording this. I have not seen Creed 3, but yeah. So what did you guys think of this movie? Have you seen this movie? Have you not seen this movie? Are you watched it once like I did and did not like it the first time? I'd say give it a rewatch just to see. Give it a second rewatch. You know, you never know. But let me know what you thought. Next week, I think I'm going to release a video about what I'm going to do scheduling-wise. I don't want to explain in this one because I don't want to make this video longer than it is. But I do plan on releasing a video of what I'm going to do scheduling-wise for videos and everything like that. So I'll explain everything in there. So until the next video, I will see you later.